is Paul. Yes, yes. I had some time to myself last night before I tried to go to sleep on that inflatable air mattress that has no air in it. I just couldn't get enough money to buy the batteries, but worse than that is trying to find the hole. Yes, some of these holes are really, really small, and you inflate it thinking that you fix the problem, and wake up in the middle of the night and you're back sleeping on the hardwood floor. There was a reason that I thought, well, I might as well just get up this morning. I got nothing to do today. But I spent some time, reading this United Nations document. Could you get me all the employees of the United Nations for the last, 40 years? Yes. They have what's called the Anti-Fraud and Anti-Corruption Framework. Oh. Now, you would say it's not fraudulent, not doing what the RCW say. You can have court hearings whenever you want. You can have them on weekends, holidays, any number of days that you want because you're the court. But I would say it's somewhat fraudulent, isn't it? So it's corrupt. Now, this anti-corruption framework, they make this executive summary that combating fraud and corruption in the United States, in the United Nations Secretariat, yes, is a primary responsibility of staff, including management and other United Nations Secretary personnel, and is a responsibility. The Secretariat also applies to its relationships with third parties. Did you know the United States would be a third party to the United Nations? They have what's known as the zero tolerance approach to fraud and corruption. When I read that they have a zero tolerance, let's say that the United Nations found out that Clallam County, yes, cannot actually understand the laws of this state or the United States, and I emailed them. In fact, my marriage certificate is from the United Nations, and their policy of zero fraud, as in, well, we can't work with the United States when they allow for fraud. Now, it seems like a minor point to those that are in the judiciaries of the United States that when you decide to have court hearings that are so far outside of the actual allowable amounts of time of the RCWs of the state, yes, and then you don't give me any notice, and there's forgeries and the fraudulent use of the state court seal, and then there's the giving of my private information to the individual that served me, and then there's the the fraud of issuing a proof of service from the police department, and then you serve somebody else. In the United Nations, as an organization, they have what's known as zero tolerance. They find out that these types of things start happening, boy, they investigate, and it could be, when you read the document, cause for some sort of sanction. Oh, oh, oh. Why don't you get me those sanctions of the United Nations? I had read that word sanction, SANCTION. Yes, just search for it on every web page and website. I'd like to know every sanction of the United Nations because this zero policy, let's say the United States was guilty of fraud and corruption. Pow! And they got sanctioned. Now, I'm the guy that would sue every employee of the United Nations. I'd drag you into the International Criminal Court. I'd find you guilty of war crimes. Then I'd sanction the nation to the point that no one could do any fucking business with me.